It's been suggested that in fact there's now another woman inside the marriage of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, one that in fact is causing catastrophic problems. So much so behind the scenes of that Montecito mansion, according to staff, well, it's becoming, well, incredibly toxic. As ever, let me explain. Morning, good to see you. Thank you so much as ever for your time today. Lovely to have your company. Welcome one and all, as I often say now, which is very nice to say. Brand new subscribers, I'm glad you're enjoying the channel. By the way, I'm glad you also enjoyed the recent story I put together for you about Anthony Blunt, Princess Margaret and the Queen. Fascinating stuff. And as many of you said, of course, it makes perfect sense. I mean, really, the Queen had been around a long time. And when you work in those royal circles, the courtiers, the gossip that goes around. So there's nothing that people don't know from, the Queen, alongside now King Charles, His Majesty the King. They know everything about the Prime Ministers, the government. It's their job to know well in advance what's going on. I mean, after all, when they have those weekly audiences, make no mistake, when the Queen sat down with Boris or Edward Heath or Churchill, she had a good idea. Churchill was, of course, a mentor, a teacher. And what a teacher he turned out to be. Marvellous for her. We all could do with a Churchill in our lives, couldn't we, don't you think? Let's get back, of course, to your royal story of the day. This screamed, didn't it? Offended. Yes, Meghan Markle and Prince Harry were mortally offended at apparently the negativity that surrounded them ever since they made the visit to the LA fires. Now, in their defence, let me just point out that they have donated some money, to charities, etc., which isn't, of course, getting any traction. And, whichever way you look at it, and this is the problem when you get it wrong consistently, the good deeds far outweigh the bad deeds, don't they? This is the problem. When you're doing charity, you have to be careful where you position it and when you position it. And, of course, they just seemingly get it wrong time and time again. But what's fascinating is the fallout between the two individuals now, Harry and Meghan. And this was naturally going to happen because you've got two volatile people. Harry's used to getting his own way, people fawning over him, and suddenly he's met a wife who doesn't and won't and tells him what to do. And at first it's alluring. Suddenly somebody's not really kowtowing to what you want and all of that sort of stuff. You find that fascinating. It's totally different. But then you revert back to type because, hang on a minute, when I go out, everybody wants to smile at me, meet me, shake my hand. And suddenly at home, I'm not the king of my own castle, as it's worked out. According to a source, the bottom line was that, this really erupted a mega row of catastrophic proportions, seemingly because Meghan Markle wanted this to go out about being offended and to slap down the actress Justine Bateman, Now, you can understand she's angry and all that sort of stuff. But of course, as I've often said, there's a time and a place. And apparently, Harry did not want this to happen. This has caused fractions between them. Yes, absolutely, and 100%. And the thing is, you can understand this because clearly now he's thinking you're making this worse. You're giving a spotlight to a woman that's attacked us, and now she can roll with this and keep going, and this just makes the bad press worse and worse. And he knows how bad the press can be. He's coming over here to defend that in a couple of days' time. Meghan, though, pushed and pushed and pushed, and apparently until, it went ahead whether he agreed or not, as ever, we have to say, allegedly. Now, whichever side you stand on, it's incredible, isn't it? Because what starts out as lovey-dovey, back-touching, looking adoringly, all that sort of stuff, if you can't meet on common ground and agree the way forward, particularly when not only are you married, but you're a business too, and that is, of course, what the Archewell Foundation is, alongside Harry and Meghan, as a global company, as it were. They're selling themselves to the highest bidder, i.e. Netflix, Spotify, Lemonade, or whatever. That's the deal. But if you can't move forward, and apparently this, as I said, came to the point where non-speaking, we all know that one, don't we, fellas, for a few hours, that apparently, nobody wanted to calm down. Meghan feels also that it should be taken further and they should respond. That's still an ongoing argument. But behind the scenes, could this particular woman inadvertently see or make a bigger split? It's a developing story. When I know more, you'll know more. Neil Sean in the very heart of London.